Renew Recovery Community, and we are thrilled. We've got a bunch of people here. We've had some good food back there. I saw a little chicken and taters and a bunch of things that were good. And so, good country cooking. And so, if you haven't been with us, come be with us. We are here every Monday night, and we would hope you would be here. And we would hope you would come, and just like you are, you don't have to dress up. You don't have to. We hope you don't act up when you come, but you certainly don't have to dress up. Just come as you are, and I hope you will be glad you did when you come. But I do want to welcome you. If you're here presently, or if those that are still coming in, or if you're there at home, wherever you're at watching it on Facebook Live, we're glad you're a part of us. We started last week part one of our little series that we're doing on moral inventory. And we're going to continue along that line today, if we could. But I want to talk a little bit about that strong. We kind of talk about why are we even doing this thing, this moral inventory. Well, when we break away a lot of things, I don't know about y'all, but through our addictive behaviors, it affects our emotions a lot. And so strong emotions or strong emotional memories are a main driver of addiction. Did you realize that? Did you ever think about that? That your strong emotional memories are the thing that kind of drive your addiction, whatever that addictive behavior is. And learning how to identify those, and that's why we're going to spend some time in this inventory, because we've got to identify the things that we're running away from. And if we do that, that's an essential part of our recovery. And this is why we're going to take, people go, well, let's hurry. We ought to get this done in about a week. Well, no, we're not going to. And so don't even try. And as I said last week, if you're going to start this, please don't start it by yourself. Please make sure you've got somebody along with you for the ride. And as I said last week, I don't care what you call it. If you call it a sponsor, you call it an accountability partner, you call it a spiritual guide, I really don't care what you call it. Just make sure you've got somebody going along with you. And it's going to take us some time as we go along, because there are going to be many lessons as we go along on the moral inventory, on the personal inventory, on the spiritual inventory. So there's several inventories. And I was sitting today at the desk at home, and I went, okay, we can knock those things out, this one right after another. And then God goes, no, you're not going to do that. And that's the way he always does. And he says, next week I want you to talk about, and he's already given me a lesson for next week. And it's not going to be on the inventory. It's going to be a part of that, but it's going to be talking about we're going to get a little deeper into our emotions. So some of you that are running from your emotions, I'm giving you a head start so you can run and not be here next week. Not be here, because you need to do that. We've absolutely got to know what has happened in our past and how it's affecting us in our present. So we have to look back a little bit. And we have to know what happened in our past to know how it's affecting us now in the present before we can begin to do something about it. And our decisions and our actions in our present are affected by the things that happened to us a long time ago. And we really don't like to dwell on that. We don't like to even think about it, because we've been doing a really good job, some of us, running from that and building up a wall to that. And some of us still are very closed off to even thinking about it or talking about it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because some of us are like, no, I'm not going to talk about it. I've spent my ever how many years I've been in addictive behavior running from this, and so why are you wanting me to talk about it now? Because I don't want you to have to run anymore. Last week I showed you this slide, and I feel very confident. Okay, maybe not really confident, but I hope that some of you started working on this. And if you're watching tonight and this is the first time you've seen this, that's okay too, because you can go back to our webpage, Renew Recovery Community, which you're on right now, and when you click on again, go over to the little More tab, hit the Down tab, and it'll have videos. And it will have all the videos that we've had, and it will go back, and you can talk a little bit. We briefly touched on it, and we may briefly touch on it tonight, but I'm not going to get into depth. I'm going to get into more depth on it as the weeks come on. This is kind of what we talked about a little bit last week, and I showed you this sheet, and I hope that you'd start filling it out, and I know that some of you did and some of you didn't, and that's okay, because many of us like to put things off, and that's the way we do things, and we especially like to put this part off. But I promise you that if you will work on this, it will help you with your brokenness. And this right here is one of the most important parts of your recovery. And before we can, as I said a minute ago, before we can move forward, we have to go back a little bit and look at some of those things and acknowledge the things that we've done. The things that we have done and the things that have been done to us. And this breaks that down very well. We may come back to this in a few minutes, and then again, we may not. But we use a lot of acrostics in here as we teach, and the lesson is moral. So we typically take a word and we break it down and take each letter of the word, and that each letter will mean something. So that first letter, M, stands for make time. This is extremely important when it comes to what we're talking about now. You have to make time for it. It's not going to happen unless you do. You have to make time to begin your inventory. You have to schedule an appointment. Now, you don't have any problems scheduling an appointment to get your hair did. I don't have a problem with that. I don't do that. I'll schedule that about when I've got 5 minutes every 2 weeks, and I'll go in and put the number 2 guard on there, and it's done. But some of you have to schedule time for various things. For me, one of the things I schedule, because I'm trying to learn Spanish. I love the way the beautiful flow of the language is. But I'm constantly, if I'm speaking to somebody in Spanish, I'm going, repito, por favor. Más despacio, repito. Because it's just way too quick. And so I'm learning. So I have to schedule. I got this little app on my phone that reminds me every day. You have 4 days in a row. Let's make it 5. Do you have 5 minutes? And I spend time. So I schedule with myself to work on this. And so that's what we have to do with as it comes to this inventory. We have to schedule some time. Be intentional about it. If you really want to learn something, you got to put in some time. Be intentional about it. Block off that time. Block off the time where you put everything else out of your mind. Now, I finally got through school, and I have several degrees, but it wasn't easy for me because I'm a slow reader. And so I have to read things several times. And me, because I am the poster child for ADD, and I'm constantly wanting to read, but watch the ball game and see how the ball's doing. They're living to play another day. Thank you. And yet listen to some music at the same time, and so I'm trying to do all these things and shuffle all these things, and it doesn't work. That just doesn't work in my mind. This is what the addicted mind looks like. It won't work. So what we have to do is be intentional and block off, get all that chatter, that other stuff out of the way. Put it on your calendar. Be at a point where you welcome that time, that you look forward to it. Don't go into it dreading it. If you go into it dreading it, you're not going to learn anything. You're not going to get anything out of it. So if it's one of those days, and not every day is a great day. Are all your days great days? I wish mine were, but they're not. And so those days when it's just, then take a day off. That's what I've said to you. This is not something that you have to start on Monday and be finished by Friday. You might start on Monday and be finished by Friday, but I didn't say which year. So it takes a while. It's meant to take a while that we do this. You just need to unplug from the world when you're trying to do this. Turn off the music. Turn off the social media. That's hard in this society as it is now. Turn off your phone for a minute. Oh yeah, but sorry, I'm expecting that call. Ding, ding. And we are so addicted. We talk about addiction. That's probably one of our biggest addictions now, to electronics. Go to a place where you can be still and it can be silent. Give God and yourself some space, a space and time where every one of your efforts can be productive. In Job 33:33, it says this, then listen to me. Keep silent, and I will teach you wisdom. Then listen to me. You can't listen when you're doing what? So keep silent. Then listen to me, and I will teach you. I will give you wisdom. It's a process that's going to take time. It's not going to happen in one setting. Be patient, and don't beat yourself up when you have a bad day. We are in this world, we try to be in our timing. And that won't work. It's got to be in God's timing. So the second letter in this is the O, and that stands for open. What are you going to open? Well, open the door. Okay, yes. Open the door to your mind and to your heart. And that sounds so easy. But this is really hard for some of us because I'm asking you here to be open. Open your heart and your mind to allow those feelings that we have been running as fast as we can away from, that hurt, that pain, that guilt, that shame. Most of us have put up such a wall and ran away as fast as we could from the wall, and I'm asking you to open up the door and start to feel those feelings again. Well, I don't want to feel those feelings, Roger. It hurts. I know it hurts. But in dealing with that and feeling that and asking ourselves some questions, that helps us on so many levels to move away from the thing that we do most, and that's be in denial. We're in such denial that there is no pain. Well, that's a lie. It's denial, but it's a lie. When we start opening that up and open up our heart and our minds, we start waking up our feelings that have been so trapped by whatever addictive behavior we've been doing for so long. You start to ask yourself some questions like, what do I feel guilty about? What do I resent? That's a key word, resent. Can y'all ever resent anybody or anything? You might want to stick around for next week because God's telling me we're talking about resentment next week. What do I fear? You have to ask yourself, are you trapped? Are you trapped in self-pity? Are you making alibis just to get by? Are you having any dishonest thinking? So, where does it begin? It begins when you start looking at the most difficult questions that you have to ask yourself. And it's like, as I've said before, it's like, I went down to the garden before yesterday, and pulled up one of the onions. And it's really dirty. When you pull it out of the garden, the roots are hanging on and it's dirty. And how do you clean that up? Well, you take it to the washing thing. No, you don't. You start pulling the layers off. And suddenly it's clean as can be. And that's what we're trying to do, is unwrap the layers off the onion so that we can get down to what's really important, that beautiful part of you, of each of us. Many of us begin this process, and I want you to think about that, ponder on this with it, because you're here. So you began the process, some of you unwillingly. I'm not crazy enough to believe that some of you are not here tonight unwillingly. Some of you are watching tonight unwillingly, but I'm thankful that you are at least watching. You have to ask yourself, why did I start this whole process? Was it to please me? No, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you. Were you trying to please yourself, or were you trying to appease someone else that you love or loves you, that's maybe putting a little guilt trip on you? I don't care why you started. I want you to continue. It's a journey. So I want you to do that. Some of you in the sheet that I had up there earlier, you've already began. Some of you have already finished. Some of you have done it a couple of times. And for those that have already done it a couple of times, that's so good, because you already know how. So when you're doing it this time, you're going to unwrap more layers off the onion. But those of you who have already done it, some of us need encouragement, because it's hard, and I don't want to do it. So we need some encouragement. So those of you who have already done it, put in the comments, I've done it. I've already completed it. And that, for us that haven't, we'll be able to look at that and go, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. So that gives us a little bit of encouragement. It will be hard. I'm not going to kid you about that. It will be hard, but it's a process that's worth it in the end. At times, it's going to dredge up some old memories that are going to bring back some things that you're going to have to deal with. And it's going to be hard. In many cases, it's going to cause us to feel some feelings that we haven't felt in a while, like anxiety, anger, bitterness, and maybe even fear. But the Bible speaks about that in Job, in the 7th chapter, the 11th verse, where we are told, let me express my anguish. Let me be free to speak out of the bitterness of my soul. We are free. See, nobody's going to look at that paper. If y'all were afraid that we're going to bring this over here, okay, now, let me tell you what Gabe put on column 1. Let me tell you what Mark has put in here. Can you believe what he put on? We're not doing that. This is your work. Now, what I said to you was, make sure somebody's going with it through you, to help you, to encourage you, to lift you, to kind of hold you accountable. But they're not there doing it for you. It's your work. It's your work, so don't think anybody's going to read it. Now, at some point down the road, because in this step, it says, be honest with yourself, with God, and with someone else that you trust. So when you find out someone you trust, at some point down the road, not today, not tomorrow, but somewhere down the road, you're going to share that with them, because you need to release it. You got to let it go. And that's the only way you're going to be able to do that. The next letter we're going to be in that word is R, for rely. Who do you rely on? Who do you rely on? Come on, y'all. Yeah, that's the church answering. God.
And there's Bill.
Most of us have relied just on ourselves, because we are the only person we think we can count on. We're going to control it all. Don't care what anybody else says. Don't care what anybody else thinks. I'm going to do it my way. Except most of the time when we do that, you've heard my way or the highway. Well, we end up getting road rash from the highway because we screw up. It is ultimately, when y'all were giving the one answer, absolutely the only person that we can really rely on is God. He is our stronger, higher power. We want to rely on Jesus as our higher power. We've got to have somebody stronger than us to help us through this, because we need courage, we need strength, and absolutely nobody out there, I don't care who you look at or who you've got around you, who's in your circle of friends, there's nobody you can rely on more than him. There's nobody that's more faithful or trustworthy than him. But some of you, and that's the sad part, some of you may not know him yet. you may not have a relationship with him. And it's my hope that during this whole process that we're going through, that process, and as you're going through it, you will draw closer to him. And you will end up having a personal relationship. And that personal relationship will continue to get deeper and deeper and deeper. Because he has the power to help us recover. If you didn't want to recover, you wouldn't be here.
That's right.
If you didn't want to recover, you wouldn't be watching. And that's a fact. It's not about me. It's not about any particular program. It's about what God's going to do through you if you allow it. And it's going to take a little work. Some of you may be thinking, hearing all this mess, I don't know that I'm strong enough to complete this fourth step. I promise you that if you have people around you and if you turn to Christ, that he will give you the strength. And he'll give the people around you the strength to help give you strength. And you can and you will do it. There's a lot of work to be done on either side of step 4. But that's in step 4 where we really lay the foundation. So we got to get ready to work. We learn about things like that in Psalm 31, verses 23 and 24. And it says this, it says, love the Lord, all of you who are his people. For the Lord protects those who are loyal to him. So cheer up. Take courage if you are dependent on the Lord. If you say, I don't know if I can do it, he's going to give you the courage. He's going to give you the strength if you believe in him. If you're not just play acting. See, he don't do well with play acting. I told y'all last week that I went to Europe, and he's everywhere. I don't care where you go. I don't care if you're at the gas station. I don't care if you're in Europe. He was with me in Amsterdam, and there's a lot of things that are not godly in Amsterdam. I'm going to tell you that right now. But God was there. And he spoke to me through his Spirit. And he said to me, son, these things are not of me. You need to move away from that. Yes, I do. And I did. Now, we come to 8. And so with everything you do, you have to analyze. You have to analyze what you did, how to make it better. Everything you do. When you do projects, when you do work, you want to look at it. Daryl, he's in sales. And he has to analyze, how can he make this better? What went well, what didn't go well? We do that in business life. We do that in our world every day. We analyze the past, and that's what we're asking you to do. Analyze your past in order for you to improve your future. Proverbs 20:27 lets us know that the Lord gave us mind and conscience. We cannot hide from ourselves. We cannot hide from ourselves. Do we try? How much do we try to hide from ourselves? Is that not what we've been doing with our addictive behaviors? We've been running and hiding. We think we're hiding from everybody else. Newsflash, spoiler alert, you ain't hiding from anybody. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Don't know when you're kidding yourself. So you might as well quit that too. And finally we come to L, where we list. It stands for list. I want to emphasize again that you got to, as I said last week, you got to list the good and the bad. It weighs out. Most of you think, man, there ain't nothing good about me. Well, why do we think that? Because you've been told that over and over and over again. You ain't ever going to be anything. You're going to end up in prison. Well, you might, but that don't mean you got to stay there. You don't have to be the way you have been. We can change. Remember that in your inventory, we're going to keep it balanced. If you look at only the bad things, if somebody tells you you're bad long enough, guess what? You'll believe it. What would happen if we start telling you, you are good? I love you and you are good. And they mean it. You start believing that too. And that's what we want to do. We got to be balanced because we don't want to distort our inventory one way or the other. In Lamentations 3:40, it reminds us, let us examine our ways. That's what we're doing in the inventory. Let us examine our ways and let us test them. The verse doesn't say, examine only your bad ways and your negative ways. It doesn't say that. We need to honestly look at the pros and the cons, the good and the bad of our past. Let me tell you what's probably going to happen as you go through the exercise. You're going to compile your inventory, and you're going to find that you've done some harmful things, and a lot of harmful things have been done to you. But you've done a lot of things to yourself and to others. No one's inventory or their life is flawless. We've all made mistakes. We've all messed up. We've all missed the mark, so to speak, in a lot of areas of our life. But in recovery, if you really want to recover, you can't dwell on the past. However, you do have to understand it so that you can begin to allow God to enter into your life and change it. You're not going to change it by yourself. You're just not. Jesus told us in John 10:10, my purpose is to give life in all of its fullness. He wants to give you a full, wonderful life. Will you accept that? So I would say to you, each of you probably want a fuller, richer, better life. Yes? Because again, if you weren't here seeking that, I don't think you'd shown up. You wouldn't have tuned in. So now go forth and get started as soon as you can on this exercise. Don't put it off. Or we'll be doing like so many other people do, and we'll just move on to something else. We'll move on to a different lesson, and we'll go, okay, in a few weeks we'll start all over again. And maybe next year I'll do it. Maybe I'll be in a better frame of mind. Maybe you won't. Maybe you will be in a better frame of mind if you do it. Because I promise you, if you do it, it will change you and the way you look at yourself and others and life. Because some of us, if you're really honest with yourself right now, you don't have a very good outlook on life. Life is whipping your hind end most days. And so let's change that. Let's flip the script, as they say. And we'll do that with this. I believe that's all I want to talk about tonight. I could go on into this, but I'm not going to because I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling led to do that. Next week, how many of y'all ever had any resentments? How many of y'all have ever been resented? How many of you have resented? Well, we'll always wait. We'll get into the different resentments next week. Boy, it's going to be good. I already saw the screen. It's been presented to me as what we're supposed to talk about. So it's going to be good. So right now, I'm going to, it's hard to get good help.
It is.
And a lot of them have been traveling, I understand. But, there's one thing I can count on. I can always count on my brother, Daryl. And I can count on the wonderful, sweet, loving people that he has surrounding him. And so you guys come up and sing whatever you're going to sing with us and then close us out.
I said this week in a Sunday school class, there are no coincidences. Okay? At least not in spiritual matters. And so this past week, I had a conversation with a young man, and he made a mistake. His business related, he made a mistake. And he was beating himself up over it. And I looked at him, I said, you know the difference between a young man and an old man? He said, what's that? I said, an old man's done enough stupid things. He finally gets tired of it and learns to stop doing stupid things.
Amen.
And I said, and he looked at me kind of funny, and I said, we've all done dumb things, brother. Don't worry about it. You just learn from it and get better. And that conversation he and I had, it went a little deeper than that, but it was not a coincidence. Well, everybody in our little married band of folks are all tied up tonight. Everybody. Okay? And even Brandon and Hannah, who normally bring Katie with them. And so I happened to run and catch Katie before they left Sunday morning and said, Katie, would you sing tomorrow night? Otherwise they're stuck with me. That's not going to happen. That's a great lesson, brother. Thank you so much. Anybody here drink Sprite? Drink Sprite? Get you a can of Sprite, okay? Pop the top off it, make sure it's warm, okay? Turn the whole thing up and drink it all in one swig, okay? And try not to burp. Right? It's an impossibility, isn't it? Well, making this list is kind of like burping out the bubbles from Sprite.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're going to hold that pain inside until it comes out one way or the other. And what normally happens is it comes out in us in addictions. It's just that simple. And so if you can go ahead and I know it's tough, don't get me wrong, okay? I don't recommend drinking warm Sprite. I'm just saying it's just for an analogy there. Getting that out, it does way more good than you can ever imagine. My wife, I've been married 32 years coming up in this month. She ain't killed me yet. She's threatened a bunch of times, okay? And it took us a long time in our marriage to finally start having honest conversation. You know, when you're dating, you're used to hiding everything, right? We dated for a long time. And we finally started having honest conversations. It became a lot easier talking about things that we'd said and done to hurt one another. And it made life so much easier. Now we can have real, live, honest conversations. And it makes things so much better. So, yeah, as you consider those things as you ponder about your list and all that, about being open and honest and real. Because the sooner we get to that, the sooner we get out of our addiction. Amen? You're welcome, Katie. Her husband was with us tonight. He nice enough to come. This is a song she picked out. And when she picked it out, okay, I said, what key do it in? And here's why. Julia and I tried to do this one night. Y'all remember Julia? Couldn't figure out a key. And Kate and I worked this thing out in about 5 minutes. Y'all stand with us and sing along with her. She does a wonderful job with this song.
And there's not a king
Thank you very much. Roger stood up just like he sat back down. You folks at our Facebook Live, whoa, that is really hot there all of a sudden. Get back up here, because I'm loud anyway. You folks at our Facebook Live, thank you so much for being with us. Come back next week. We're here every Monday. I don't care if it's the 4th of July, Christmas, it don't matter what day. We're here Monday, 6 o'clock to eat. Got a wonderful meal tonight. We always do. We're here at 6:30 to meet, and the small rooms meet after. If you haven't already, like and share our page and tell somebody about this recovery group. I've got a customer of mine. He's going to retire soon, who's actually a recovered addict, and he is a sponsor and a whole bunch of stuff in Chattanooga. And he and I got to spend some time together last week, and I can't tell you how important these meetings are. So you come back and be with us. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.